Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Blue Knight 7 returning yet again with another episode of the Blue Knight Cast. We're up to episode 15 now. And I wanted to come in here with another entry in sort of an informal series of videos I'm doing here on YouTube or podcasts, where I discuss what I think we should expect from the upcoming April 2nd, 2025 Nintendo Direct, as far as different games go or different franchises go. Just sort of a way to deep dive and talk about what we could be seeing. Pure speculation on my part, but what we could be seeing as far as a new entry in a series, or generally what to expect regarding that series. And today I'm going to put a little twist on what I've been doing. Instead of saying the next 3D Mario or what to expect from Metroid Prime 4 or Mario Kart, I'm going to spin it around here and say, what should we expect from Monolith Soft, the developer? I'll explain why I'm doing it this way here in a minute. But if you've been enjoying this content or listening, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm trying to build up my subscriber count and generally work towards monetization this year. It would mean a whole lot to me if I could get there. And your support is needed for that and appreciated, believe me. And if you want to comment down below of anything you'd like to see from Monolith Soft, or just anything you'd like me to talk about in the future in general, please do so. But going back to what we're doing here today, I changed it to a developer for this one because I'm not convinced we're seeing a Xenoblade game in the near future. There's one possibility I'll discuss in a minute, but keep in mind, we just literally today, I recorded this on March 20th, and just literally today we have the official release of Xenoblade Chronicles X. Congratulations to them, right? And it's getting very good reviews. It's a little different than the other Xenoblade games if you haven't played it before. It makes a true open world. Less focus on story. In some ways it really feels like a MMO, the way it plays, but massive exploration. It puts a lot of other games, some of which are newer than it is, to shame. And if you haven't played it before, buy it, play it. You don't have to be like a Xenoblade lore historian to understand this game. It's very much a spin-off. There's a lot of theories about how it connects to the other games, but I'm not going down that well because we'll probably never get out. Better to just say, play the game, enjoy it for what it is. Don't get too hung up about the story of the other games as you play it. That being said, what could we see from Xenoblade Chronicles X's developer at this upcoming Nintendo Direct? Because I believe we will see something else. Monolith Soft is a kind of large developer at this point. They generally have multiple projects going, and it's not strange to see them working on maybe 2 games at a time with different levels of completion, and also giving other Nintendo teams support work. They have actually contributed meaningfully to Splatoon, if you can believe that, and the last 2 Legend of Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So it really isn't strange to see them have multiple irons in the fire. And as I understand it, the Chronicles X team the definitive edition for Xenoblade Chronicles X, that team was not their major team. Their larger team has been working on something since Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And that's been actually a couple years or a little more at this point. And it was supposedly a game that got finished earlier than they thought it would, ahead of schedule. So they are now working on something new. And it's just the way things are timing out. It is possible to see whatever's coming up next. I'm not saying for sure that it will even be a year one Switch 2 release. It could be, but it'd probably be more like a year from now, or a year in after a year Switch 2, or right at it. I just don't think it'll be like an early year one release. I just don't. But we've been fooled before, right? And I'll give you a reason why we could be fooled in a minute. Now, what could they be working on? I'm not going to get into spoilers for Xenoblade series. I'm just going to say, if you haven't played them, oh my God, go play them. Just go get the games, play them. If those Switch 1 vouchers, if that voucher program is still going, I know it's about to run out, but if you can just get those games. Just get all 4 of them. Xenoblade 1, Chronicles Definitive Edition, Xenoblade 2, Xenoblade 3, and now X. Just get them. But anyway, I guess you can tell if Nintendo comes out of a game, I usually just tell you, just get it. But anywho, but if you love JRPGs in any way, shape, or form, get these games. They're top tier. To me, they're what Final Fantasy should be right now. But anyway, what could they be doing? I do not think we are getting an actual Xenoblade game from them. I think that once you play through Xenoblade, everything to do with Xenoblade 3, I'll say it that way. Once you get through everything to do with it, I think it's pretty clear that they sort of tied up a story arc. And if there was ever a time to take a break from Xenoblade, now would probably be it. Xenoblade Chronicles X, the definitive edition, is out. I think we have these 4 games and their related content. There's actually a couple of smaller entries on top of that, such as Torna, the Golden Country, and Future Connected. But without, I'm trying not to go down the Xenoblade rabbit hole today. I'm really trying hard. It's one of my favorite series now. The original Xenoblade Chronicles is like a favorite for me. But I think now would be the time for them to back off of it for a minute and do something else if they were going to do something else. What would they do? Well, we kind of already know. Ever since early Switch 1 days, there's been concept art floated around for another project they've been working on. And all we have to go on is concept art. There's been job listings too that kind of seem to be in accord with what people think is this project. But it's, instead of the fantasy future mecha crossings of the Xeno series, this seems to be more of a straight up medieval fantasy series, like maybe Monolith Soft's take on The Legend of Zelda, or maybe Monolith Soft's take on any other medieval game you want to talk about. And the concept art showed some pretty kind of painterly images, castles, knights in armor, medieval army, young blonde protagonist that doesn't look all that different from Shulk in medieval armor, kind of leading an army, from what I remember of that screenshot. And my point with all that is I think that could be what we see next. It's just think of it as just put down Xeno for a minute. This may just be a new IP for Monolith Soft, like a new their version of the Elder Scrolls or Dragon's Dogma or something like that. I think we probably need to think more in that direction for what they're doing next. Which I would love to see their take on some of that, because they make amazing JRPGs with very their story writing, their plots, their story, their writing. It puts other developers to shame sometimes, and to the point where some people think they're too convoluted. But they will give you a plot twist like no other. And they have also mastered open zone like no other. But with Switch and open world is what everybody's saying now, that they're actually playing Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, which was stuck on Wii U. So I think we may get a true medieval fantasy JRPG open world game. And I don't think they would drop their distinct art style, which does lean into more of a manga anime style. I don't think they would abandon that, but we get something that's definitely not Fire Emblem, definitely not Skyrim or Dragon's Dogma, but I think this will be, it will have its own merit for sure. This may be what people want instead of a more Western RPG, is what I'm trying to say. And it'll be good competition for those games. That's kind of what I'm expecting here. I think there's very little we have to go on, but we do believe this has kind of been a project in the background for the last 7 years. I don't know if they're finished with it because they've cranked out all this other work in the meantime, but I think this is something they have been working on the whole time. So it, now that I said all that, it could be a launch window game. It could be a year one game. I just figure it's going to be later than that. But we'll see. And I think it would still be something that they would show in this April 2nd Direct, just to say, hey, Monolith Soft's going to have another game coming. I think they would do that at this point. Monolith Soft has kind of become a big gun for Nintendo. It's amazing looking back. And I'm going back to like late 2000s, 2010. I first took interest in the company with the Baten Kaido series when they were working for Namco. 2 RPGs put on GameCube. Very good series in its own right. I wish there would be a sequel or something to them. And Nintendo acquired them, and they started making Xenoblade games, which almost did not come to the US. This was during Nintendo's strange, sometimes I call it the Dark Ages, even though it was so white in their aesthetics at the time. But it was during the Wii era when everybody wanted to play casual games, or at least that's what Nintendo thought. Nintendo of America thought. Maybe Japan. And it was just seemed about impossible just to get a game that people wanted from Japan over here. The original Xenoblade Chronicles was an Operation Rainfall game. And if Europe had not localized it, I'm not sure we ever would have gotten the game. But we do now, and it's become this major series that I'm not calling it Nintendo's biggest seller, but it sells consistently to the point that Nintendo doesn't mind Monolith running support and releasing these games too. So that's kind of how I see that. But I do think this is going to be a medieval fantasy game, their own IP. I don't think it's Legend of Zelda. I think it's going to be their own thing. But I also believe that they're going to back away from Xenoblade for a minute and maybe reset themselves on that and put this out, and it may be another series they're putting out for Nintendo. That's what I believe. Now, if you're just wanting more Xenoblade, here's my theory. It's very possible that maybe Nintendo is still working with Koei Tecmo. And we get something that I've heard people talk about wanting before. I mean, there's no reason to know that it's happening other than Koei Tecmo keeps pumping out this type of game. Is maybe a Xenoblade Warriors game. Dynasty Warriors with Xenoblade characters. To me, at this point, it would be so dang obvious to do it. 4 games, memorable characters, just put them in there. Put them in a battlefield fighting the different animals and beasts and mechanized enemies you often see in a Xenoblade game. Just do it. I think it could be a lot of potential there. I really do. Just give it one of those weird zany plots where everybody comes together for some weird reason. Just do it. It doesn't have to be canon. Just do it. Also, do I think there will be another Xenoblade? My answer is that could be. Could also be we just get another Xeno game. Like I say, there's sort of an arc with the games we've seen that kind of reaches an ending. I think there's potential for more games that are Xenoblade, don't get me wrong. But I think there's going to be a slight change to the name. The same way the core team at Monolith Soft can be traced to Xenogears on PlayStation for when they were working for Square to when they broke off and made Xenosaga for Namco, and now we have Xenoblade under Nintendo. It could keep the Xenoblade name, but it wouldn't shock me if we get another name. Xeno, whatever you want to put. We'll see. And that being said, I also believe they're probably doing some kind of support work for something. I said before, there should be a 3D Zelda in development. They're probably helping with it. They could be helping on Splatoon 4. Something I know I haven't really talked about. But I do think they could be doing some support work as well. But for their pipeline, I think support work, this medieval IP, whatever it is, and if we're wanting something else Xeno, it'll be more further in the future. I don't think it's going away. I just don't think we're getting it right now. Enjoy what we have. The one thing I hope we see, and I alluded to this in my episode where I talked about Legend of Zelda series, what I hope we do see though is some sort of next gen patch or whatever is needed to make sure the Xenoblade series games we already have get an enhancement on Switch 2. In particular, Xenoblade 2, it needs a little help. The resolutions in portable mode are pretty bad. I think part of it was just they were trying to develop this Wii U game that they had to move over to Switch, and it was made by Team 2 instead of Team 1. But I do hope that they are able to maybe find a way to come back and give those games a slight next-gen uplift if it can be done, especially Xenoblade 2. We'll see how that plays out. And that's really all I meant to say about Monolith Soft for the Switch 2 Direct. I hope they're there. I believe there'll be something. And with that, I'll conclude episode 15 of the Blue Knight Cast for today. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And everybody have a good day.